Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Mad Bitcoins. So, today, I'm going to guide you a bit step by step through a journey on how to reclaim your privacy with Bitcoin. I hope I don't have to tell you why privacy is a fundamental human right that we have to fight for. This is nothing that will be given to you. You have to claim it. And these are the tools that we can use. Why Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin, first and foremost, gives you unbelievable defenses against theft. Either via direct theft of your coins, right? You have your private key that is secure on your cold card, and nobody's going to steal them from you. And that is already very good, because only with the knowledge of the private key can you move a Bitcoin UTXO. So that alone, if you keep your private keys occulted and hidden from others, then nobody can steal your direct coins from you. That is already phenomenally good, better than with any other money that we would have. For example, if you have a gold coin, I can just $5 wrench attack you and get the physical gold coin. No encryption, no nothing. Rather easy to take your physical coins. Even worse with fiat money. I mean, cash, pretty similar to gold coins. But as soon as you put your fiat cash into a bank deposit account, well, you lose any defenses that you have against direct theft. Very, very easy to close your bank account, to take whatever amount of cash or fiat that you would like. We see that all over again, Greece or any other countries. If you trust a central server or a bank to hold your coins, your money, they can easily take it. Though, more on the economic side, the indirect theft via inflation is much harder to defend against. Even if you have physical fiat cash in your hands, they're just going to keep printing and printing and printing, not just the physical cash, but the entire base money supply and money supply higher on higher levels, M1, M2, M3. And all this will dilute your percentage holdings of the total money supply, which, after all, is inflation, right? You're going to lose purchasing power proportionally than what you had before. That is a form of theft. Very, very difficult to defend against that in the fiat realm, and even to a certain extent in gold. The good thing is, with gold, is that it actually costs something to produce gold. You need to, pick a shovel and start digging, and so it's not easy to produce gold, and thus there is some cost to it. That helps to incentivize or to keep a limit on the money supply increase. But regardless, as long as the money supply increases, you lose a proportion of your holdings every single day. And that is, if it's still voluntary based, as in gold, I wouldn't count it as theft, but it still dilutes your fiat or your gold money supply holdings. So how does Bitcoin go around this? By you running a full node, right? Then you define exactly your property rights and especially the money supply. And you have the issuance schedule fixed up, and it is unchangeable as long as you do not change your rules. Right? If you don't update to something like Bcash, then, well, your coins are still safe and you're not going to produce any more in that money supply. So this is how Bitcoin defends both against direct theft via coins and indirect theft via inflation. And that's all good, that is very, very good. But still, we're not yet there at full censorship resistance. Why? When I know that Volker here has 100 Bitcoins lying around, and I can easily de-anonymize him, then I can again come with the $5 wrench attack, kidnap his children, or kill his dog, anything. And sooner or later, he will then give me voluntarily his knowledge of the private key, and with that, I can take all his UTXOs. So even if we have very, very good direct and indirect defenses, if you can be de-anonymized, that opens a huge attack vector against you, where ultimately you'll become a target. And people can specifically seek you out and to coerce you in order to give you the knowledge of the private key. So how do we defend against that? How do we truly break this OODA loop? How do we truly break the attribution of your identity to the coins that you hold and the economic transactions that you do with that? And that is where privacy comes in. So, then now starting that journey. Let's assume you're still in the first realm. You're still holding fiat shitcoins. And of course, you want to get rid of them as fast as possible because you're being stolen from, or you are being stolen from, as long as you hold that every single second. Doesn't matter how much you hold, any penny that you hold is being stolen from you, mostly indirectly via the inflation. So you want to get rid of that shit as fast as possible. How do you do that? Go to Coinbase. Register your personal face, your ID card, your driver's license, your proof of residency. Then a central trusted server knows everything about you. Where you live, how many coins you have, and what you do with them. Is that good? No, of course not. Very easy to attribute you. And not just for the central server, but for any government attacking this central server, or for any hacker getting access to the central server. Trusted databases are not trusted. They're centralized, they will always be hacked, and private data will always be leaked. But this time, it's not your Facebook cat pictures that will be leaked, but it's knowledge that you have coins, and how many coins you have, and what you do with them. So first and foremost, do not buy your coins on KYC exchanges. That is very, very bad. So there are other options. I mean, very easily would be at meetups like this, right? Just ask people if they want to, if they want to give you some precious Bitcoin. It's not easy to find these people, especially, if that individual still has fiat. Why would he want more fiat? People like me who don't have any more fiat, I actually would very gladly find someone to trade the Romanian shitcoin, because I need to fill up some gas. So if you would like some, I may be willing to give you some. Maybe not, though. Not too much, definitely. So that is the first thing, right? Be local and then trade with cash. Fiat cash, most anonymous way of using fiat. So that helps you quite a bit. Then, if you have a bank account and you would like to use this, for the convenience, and you do not want to suffer the KYC surveillance, use BISC. BISC.network is a self-hosted, decentralized exchange, kind of the honey badger of exchanges. It's all run over Tor. It's all peer-to-peer messaging and communication. It's very censorship resistant because it runs on your hardware and it's your free and open source software. So here, you still reveal some sensitive personal information because you use your bank account, right? And that trading partner sends, you send your fiat shitcoins to your trading partner on his personal bank account. So it's not a middleman that you sent the money to, but still your trading partner knows where the money came from your bank account, and you can see that, right? The good thing is all of this communication is encrypted over Tor, and it's only this one individual who finds out that you're interested in Bitcoin. Pavel actually told me a beautiful hack yesterday. If you're using Revolut, and you have a Revolut KYC account, then you can add a sock puppet email. Just a random Proton main email or something, and you register this email that does not have your name included to your Revolut account, and then in BISC, you send from that email address, or you send to that email address. And this way, even the trading partner does not know that you are, or who you exactly are. He just knows that you're using Revolut, and he knows the sock puppet email, but he does not know which individual is behind that sock puppet. That's already great. But again, here Revolut might censor your transaction. It actually happens a bit. We're kind of figuring out how to get around this with like different order IDs and stuff like this. So BISC, very, very nice. Though, after all, hopefully, very, very soon, you're all at that point where we've gotten rid of all the fiat shitcoins. And then how do you get more Bitcoin? Well, you earn them by providing valuable goods and services in the agora of the second realm. So be productive, help someone. Ask someone, what can I do for you in exchange for some sats? And when you are at that point where you're actually a productive individual, not rent-seeking on someone else's paycheck, but actually being productive for them and helping them out with something, they are hopefully willing to give you a couple sats for that. And the very cool thing is, don't necessarily have to KYC that, don't necessarily have to tell anyone about that. You just give that one individual your Bitcoin address, and he sends you a couple sats. And that's it. There's no fiat realm. There's nothing in this exchange. And that is very good, because most of the de-anonymization comes from the fiat side, from your bank accounts, right? And so when you actually earn Bitcoin, there is no fiat. So that is much, much, much superior to stacking sats compared to buying them at an exchange, right? I think earning the sats is the way that you should go. Of course, that's after you've gotten rid of all your fiat shitcoins. Then the question is, how do you actually communicate your addresses? Do you post them on Twitter? And it's tied to your Twitter profile, which is probably tied to your real identity. Do you send them over WhatsApp? Well, then the Facebook servers know all about them. Slack, that's even unencrypted, right? So how do you do that? I mean, you could use the PGP, right? By the way, please sign my key. It ends with 42AC3C57. Please sign, thank you very much. Web of trust, very important. And then, how do you send that encrypted? You just encrypt to that individual public key the address. And so only he can actually generate the clear text address and then send you money to this address. Very decent, maybe not as user-friendly. What might be even better is if you use BTC Pay Server. Because here, you run on your own local server this payment processor, and you send just an invoice via a link to someone else. And then this other person goes to the Tor browser or just Firefox and uses HTTPS encryption to actually generate the address. So here you have, by default, HTTPS encrypted address generation. so that even the middlemen of all these internet communications don't know your address. And you don't send it over WhatsApp, you don't keep it on Telegram or any stuff like this. So BTC Pay Server, very, very valuable because you don't even leave a record of which address it is. You just send the invoice, that's the BTC Pay Server link, and that does not include the address. So any written text does not include your address. Very, very important. So BTC Pay, self-hosted payment processor, absolutely awesome. Oh yeah, then of course also, how do you verify that you got that coin? Right? Do you take your extended public key that can generate all your Bitcoin addresses, and do you give that to a third party and be like, please tell me if I have money? No, right? Of course not. That's absolutely stupid. Unfortunately, that is how most wallets work. And I would say that is fundamentally broken, like really, really bad broken. Don't send your entire financial history to a central third party. There are security holes. Private databases will be leaked. We see that with Mt. Gox, right? But there you only have the KYC data. If a XPub server gets hacked, you see all the past, present, and future transactions in a verifiable cluster without any plausible deniability. As soon as you have sent your extended public key, consider that wallet burned. Treasure your XPub as much as you treasure your extended private key. No? Your extended private key gives you the ownership, your extended public key gives you the privacy. So I would stay as far away as possible from any wallet who collects all your XPubs and who puts them in a huge database. And especially when you connect to that over ClearNet, right? That's even worse. So what is the solution? Of course, running your own full node. Don't trust, verify. How do you do that? Well, some plug-and-play service like Nodl, the two peers over there, by the way, also has the BTC Pay Server hosted. So that gives you pretty much all that you need. And with that, you can also connect, for example, to your Electrum personal server, right? And check their rather easy and intuitive user interface if you have actually received coins. And very important, you do not share your extended public key with anyone, okay? You verify it for yourself. It's not just a trust issue, it's first and foremost a privacy issue. Or, of course, you use a wallet that does not leak your extended public key, even if it's not a full node. That would be, for example, Wasabi Wallet. We just had a couple issues with the block filters. But what the block filters actually are is that a central server, in this case the CK-SNAC server, generates a filter that is rather tiny and where you can check locally if this filter includes an address of you. Right? And so okay, there's block 500 and there's the tiny filter of block 500 and there's no address of mine included in this block, so I don't care about it. Oh, but there's block 501 and there's the filter to it, and I get now a match with my extended public key to this block filter. And now you know that block 501 is of interest to you. How do you download that block? Of course, not from the same server that gave you the filter, right? Because then that might leak some privacy. But you connect to a random Bitcoin peer-to-peer full node and over Tor request to get this one block fully downloaded. Now, you still did not verify that this is actually a valid block, because for this you need the entire time chain. But what you can now do is you can request these blocks, trust the proof of work, and at least don't lose any privacy. So in that sense here, Wasabi Wallet, although it's not a full node, but because it uses BIP 158, by the way, Breeze Wallet for Lightning does that as well. SAP Wallet is implementing this, LND has their implementation called Neutrino. So hopefully we will see more and more block filter compatible wallets, because that is infinitely better for your privacy. So now you've sold your fiat, you've earned your Bitcoin, you've encryptedly received the addresses, and you've verified that. What else is there? Well, now how do you spend it? Or rather, first, how do you hold it? Right? You've earned your Bitcoin or you've bought them. What now? Do you want that the person who sent you the Bitcoin, right, either the KYC exchange or the BISC user or your employer, should they know what you do with your money? No, obviously not. That's none of their business. So what do? You defend yourself against that. How? With CoinJoins. And there are many, many different awesome implementations. The two that I could recommend you look into is Join Market, which is a beautiful peer-to-peer marketplace where liquidity providers and CoinJoin takers come together to produce CoinJoins with, I think 7, 8 anonymity set. Very good. Or, of course, Wasabi Wallet has a very private zero-link implementation of Jamian blind signature CoinJoins. And what this basically means is that a bunch of individuals register their inputs in a giant transaction, And here it's clear that this was Alice from the KYC exchange, that was Bob, maybe from BISC, but that is in the input. You don't really have much privacy for your input, unfortunately. But the outputs that are being created, some of them have equal values. So for example, Alice starts here with 10 Bitcoin, Bob has 5 Bitcoin, Charlie has 3 Bitcoin. And on the output side, everyone has 1 Bitcoin, plus their change. So all of a sudden, it's unclear which input pays which output, because all of these outputs are exactly the same. Right? It's just the public key and 1 Bitcoin in there. And that is the equal denomination output of a coin join. Very important to have that. And the more equal denomination outputs are being created, the more your anonymity set is, the larger the crowd in which you can hide it. So that helps a lot, right? Because now, Alice might know, or Coinbase might know that Alice has registered in that coin join, but they don't know which of these outputs belong to her. And thus, the Coinbase can no longer spy on the future transaction history of, for example, Alice here. And the more often you re-register your coins and coin join again and again and again, the more higher your anonymity set grows. And the more difficult it is to link your pre-mix KYC coin to your post-mix anonymity set coin. And that is already very, very valuable. And I would do that as soon as I receive. So, I earn money for doing something. I coin join. The person who sent me the money has no clue what to do with that. I could buy a Lambo, I could hodl for the next 10 happenings or whatever. He doesn't know. But then at the time where I spend it again, I don't want the merchant whom I buy your goods for know what I do with that or how long I hold that money. For example, if I'm Satoshi, right, and I have like the coins from block 1, because Genesis block coins cannot be spent, but I want to spend that coin and then finally get my Lambo for that. Do I want the merchant to know that I'm actually Satoshi? No, of course not, right? So what do? I register my old coin that has this long transaction history again in a coin join, break the link, and then I have a new input, a new UTXO being created that is no longer tied to my previous coin. I might have hodled that for forever, might have gotten that by selling weed on the Silk Road or any other awesome agorist activity that you might do. So then with this here, you can sell your coin or you can buy whatever you want with it without revealing what you did before. So for me, the strategy is earn Bitcoin, coin join, hodl for as long as possible, and if you really need something, coin join again, and then buy the crap that you need. Hopefully it's not plastic crap, but actually something worthwhile. And then for sending, it's the same thing. How do you get your address? Make sure it's encrypted. Don't post. Oh yeah, and also don't necessarily time correlate your actions to this transaction. For example, if you buy something on Bitrefill and you're very happy about that, don't go on Twitter posting the second you do it, oh, I just bought it and it got instantly confirmed. Great, because that time correlates your Bitcoin transaction to that public statement on Twitter. And that again decreases your anonymity set, because not that many individuals have made a transaction at that point in time. So just don't brag about your Bitcoin transactions. I know they're exciting. I know we get all giggly about them, but keep it down. And you can do some other tricks. For example, when I bought my car for Bitcoin, then I did not consolidate my Wasabi UTXOs. For example, like if you have 5 Wasabi UTXOs, then I did not consolidate them all in one transaction, but I requested the merchant to give me 5 different Bitcoin addresses, and then I send each coin separately. 1 input, 1 output, no change. And I time staggered them across several days. And I changed the transaction fee manually. 1 Satoshi per byte, 2, 3.5, 4.7, and Bitcoin Core high priority. Right? So you have different times, you have different transactions, types, you have different transaction fees, and all that helps to decorrelate these payments. So on the time chain, there are 5 transactions. It's pretty hard to figure out that these are all for the same economic trade. And so tricks like this are very, very important. And then ultimately, if you really want to spend like Satoshis for stickers, don't do that on the time chain, because everyone knows about this transaction, everyone verifies it. So use a second layer technology, like for example, the Lightning Network, right? Do a coin join, open a Bitcoin Lightning Network channel with that coin join UTXO, and then you can do off-chain transactions that, because they are onion routed across the Lightning Network, are much more harder to correlate to you, and especially when sending. Like for example, if you go to Bitrefill and you buy your Amazon gift card voucher over Lightning, Bitrefill has no clue what Lightning Network node sent that payment or what UTXO funded that payment. They don't care. They received Satoshis. They can verify that these Satoshis can never be taken back. That's all they care. They don't care how you got that money to them or who the money was sent. They got the money, all good. So Lightning Network inherently, especially as a sender, is very, very private. Only have a couple more minutes. So if you have some questions, please, now would be the time.
So when you send your UTXO via your IP address, right? Oh, sorry. Want me to say it again? Okay. So when you send a UTXO to a CoinJoin, and then you get one output back, let's say, and you open, with that UTXO, you open a Lightning channel. An attacker could observe that it's from the same IP address and correlate that, right?
Yes. If you run your Lightning Network node over ClearNet, that is a critical bug and it should be fixed. It is being fixed by running Tor. Every Lightning Network node should run in Tor. There's no ClearNet business on Lightning Network, shouldn't be. But still, unfortunately, with all the current Lightning Network implementations, they're not tailor-made for privacy. So any channel that you open is correlated to the same Lightning Network public key and the same Tor.onion. And that is not optimal. So yes, currently, all your channels are linked and clustered to one identity. That's not optimal. That is why Wasabi, in 2 weeks, hopefully, will work on a Lightning Network implementation that has all these privacy-cautious choices. There are ways of doing this, absolutely. It's just that nobody yet has written a good privacy implementation for Lightning Network. It's much more private already, I would say, than sending Bitcoin on-chain. But it's still, there's so much improvement to come. I'll have a talk at the Lightning Conf just about privacy in Lightning and all the nuances here. There's definitely a lot of pitfalls, but by default, already, if you run over Tor, it's much better already. Any more questions? Okay, then to continue maybe a bit more about what? Oh yeah, private key storage. That is very important. You know, for example, if you connect your hardware wallet via USB stick, via USB cable, how do you know what software is communicating with your hardware wallet? Right? You don't really know. That's like a lot of information can flow back and forth. And it used to be, it's fixed now, that for example, one hardware wallet gave permission to any software, to any script on any website to pull your extended public key without user action of clicking. So as soon as you plugged in your hardware wallet, any website could get all of your transaction history. It's not good. It's very not good. Right? So all these nuances are very, very careful and really must be taken into account. That is, for example, why I like the cold card so much. Because it is very hardened. Yes, you put, for example, the Wasabi skeleton file into a SD card, and then as soon as you plug in that SD card to your laptop, you kind of have the same issue, right? Anything could read that SD card, but at least you know that as soon as you take that SD card out, the communication stops. Now, even better would be QR codes. That's very good one-way communication. I've got a question?
Let's say that I have a hardware wallet and I want to avoid that you mentioned. Can I avoid it in this way? Connect it to the phone, generate the transaction in Samurai Wallet, for example, and then disconnecting the device and spreading that transaction into the computer manually without using the rest of the keys or whatever.
I would say that unfortunately at this point there is no mobile wallet that is sufficiently private. For example, Samurai Wallet is one of these wallets that sends the extended public key to the Samurai servers. So that is very bad. I mean, if you run a nodl, the next version will have Dojo implemented, and that is the Samurai server on your own hardware, which is much more trustworthy than someone else's random server. I mean, in general, yes. For example, you could use your cold card with either Electrum and your own Electrum personal server hooked up to your own full node, or with Wasabi. And here, that is exactly that. You give the extended public key and only to this one software, and then you build your transaction here with your inputs and outputs, and then you export that partially signed or unsigned Bitcoin transaction back onto the SD card, plug that back into the cold card, do the signing, and then you have the signed final transaction, that goes back into your laptop, and then it goes for broadcasting over Tor. That is, I would say, or at least I'm more comfortable doing it this way. Yes, it's more extra steps, but it just feels a bit better than to have this constant stream of possible data. So, one final question? I think one more.
Everything that you've shared here, how do you think this helps the case of Bitcoin fungibility, and how can we measure, or can we measure Bitcoin's fungibility given all those privacy infrastructure that we have right now?
So we throw this word fungibility around. Basically, it means the same normity of a given monetary unit. Satoshis are fungible on the protocol level. Doesn't matter where the UTXO comes from. A SAT is a SAT, right? What is not fungible are UTXOs, chunks of Satoshis. Because, for example, my UTXO has my public key. Your UTXO has your public key. That is fundamentally different. Plus, your UTXO has a different transaction history than mine. Very different. So fungibility in that sense for UTXO we will never achieve, because any UTXO script is very different to any other. The cool thing is, first, when you use all these techniques, try figuring out how much money I have. It's not that easy. And even if I send money to you, because I do a bunch of coin joins, it's very difficult for you to figure out what I did previously. Though, for example, Jonas Nick did his master thesis on clustering wallet addresses, and he used like Electrum personal servers and like other heuristics. And his culmination of his thesis was, give me one of your addresses, and I can cluster 70% of your wealth. And that is not good. So we've made many privacy mistakes in the past. Hopefully, with all these weapons, we can protect against that in the future. But this is something that every individual must do for himself. Nobody will like do it for you. You have to take care of your own privacy, and you have to fight to reclaim that. Can we do it? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's a lot of work. So Piers, thank you very much for listening, and enjoy the rest of the conf.